Chocolat is preparing to resume her career and is getting the work done in the mornings for trainer Steve Bullock. The 4-year-old filly was stakes placed as a juvenile here and worked 3 furlongs on March 13th in 37 2/5 over a sloppy track. Fall Forest is prepping for her first career start for trainer Larry Wolf. The impressively built daughter of Muktak Dean recorded her first ever workout, going 38 2/5 for 3/8. One of Shampoo's record-tying 4 stakes wins last season was the U.S. Bank Stakes.
And a huge win to Shampoo. Shampoo by 3 or 4 lengths to On Duty.
Trainer Doris Harwood may have a good chance in that race again this year with Elusive Horizon, a speedy daughter of Elusive Quality. Elusive Horizon, on the inside, worked in company with her more illustrious stablemate Shampoo in 36 4/5. You'll recognize these fellas. They're prominent names and faces in Seattle media, and they all very much enjoyed thoroughbred racing. Let's find out more about how their interest began.
Probably like any other kid, although I was in Ohio, it was first time I saw the Kentucky Derby on television, and then found out that at Thistledown Racetrack in Cleveland, which was about 30 miles away, I could actually see what I saw on television. So 8 or 9 years old. I mean, first time I saw a Derby, which was probably the Dancer's Image one, I wanted to go to the racetrack and got to go.
Well, it's actually through my dad, Joe. I grew up in Colorado, and he was always interested in the racing game, and to the point where he left a business in Denver and bought a horse farm up north of town and got into the quarter horse game. And I used to go out there. I was in college at the time and got some hands-on experience, you know, learned both sides of the game, literally, you know, the training end of it, and then the muck and stalls and that part of it too, and got some hands-on experience and just kind of fell in love with the animals and ultimately fell in love with the game as well.
My father was a big fan of the sport, and we lived in Indianapolis. There was no racing in the state of Indiana, so we'd drive down to Cincinnati to River Downs and watch races. And I was probably 11 or 12 years old the first time I went, and I loved everything about it. I absolutely loved it from day one.
You know, it goes way back to when I was a little kid, about 8, 10 years old. I lived back in the Chicago area, and my grandmother was a big fan of horse racing. And we had a racetrack right there in the town I grew up in, and it was one of the big Chicago area racetracks. It was called Washington Park. It has since burned down. Of course, they have Arlington Sportsman, Hawthorne, Balmoral was in our area. We used to go watch the harness races out there too, but the thoroughbreds raced at Washington Park.
The betting, isn't that everyone's favorite aspect of thoroughbred racing? The different ways you can try and make money, the exotics. I love the fact that being a sports guy and a numbers guy, that there are so many numbers you can look at them. You can actually, as we all have in the past, really try and dope something out logically by using numbers, past performances, things like that. If you like numbers as a kid, I mean, as I did anyway, I mean, that's a part of it too. But, you know, it's the betting, man, the betting.
The fact that everyone is there. You have the blue bloods up in the suite and the private areas, on down to the $2 bettors who are on the rail birds. It's a sport that has a little something for everyone, and everyone's chasing the same dream. They may be chasing it with different levels of dollars, but they're chasing the same dream. And then remove the betting for a second. There's a beauty to it. These animals are incredible. They're poetry in motion. They are bred to do just this, and there is nothing quite like seeing one of these horses coming thundering down the stretch at the end of a race on a sunny day. It's fantastic.
Well, it starts with the animals, and I think that's where it helps to have had some early hands-on experience. I just fell in love with the animals themselves, and have always appreciated the athleticism and what they bring to the game. You don't have to bet on them to appreciate them and enjoy them. It's great that you can bet on them too, which is another nice part of the game for me. But that's kind of where it began for me, and I like competitive sports. I always had. I've built my career around competitive sports, and this is a very competitive sport, both if you're handicapping it, and certainly if you get into the ownership side of it as well.
You know, I've always just loved the thrill of competition, the beauty and the grace of the horses, the grit and the courage of the jockeys. You know, there's nothing more exciting than a stretch duel. 2, 3, 4 horses going at it, coming down the stretch. To me, it's just, it's a very, very thrilling sport, and I just love to watch it and be a part of it.